What's good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about the bank earnings that just came out, as the banks have absolutely crushed it, and what's going on with the next catalysts that are going to be affecting the markets as we have some new news coming out. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. The offer ends in just 2 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market and Tesla. So, something very interesting happened to the markets. We had the big earnings coming out. Things are looking pretty good on paper. However, there was a degree of manipulation involved in how the bank earnings looked, in my opinion, because estimates were lowered so much that it looks like the banks absolutely crushed it. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, but I first want to talk about some news affecting the markets. For now, we're starting to see some inflationary fears about different data that is suggesting that we could see another increase, and the market ended up sinking quite a bit. There's also other things involving the yields and technicals that led to the sell-off from yesterday. But on top of this, we're seeing Harker advocating for the Fed to just hold rates where they currently are. There's more violence going on in Israel and also in Gaza and the regions surrounding the area. So it's once again very horrible. This is continuing and still going to be affecting the views of different people. We had the big earnings, which I will talk about in just a couple of minutes. And we also had the UK regulators on Friday clearing Microsoft's proposed $69 billion takeover of a gaming company, which is once again good news for them after this acquisition. So, what about the earnings? How on earth are things looking? Progressive has beaten EPS and revenue. Basically, almost everything beat on EPS and revenue except for one of them, which was a little short on revenue. But basically, Progressive beat everything by 25.1%. They beat everything. Citigroup beat on EPS and revenue by 21.6%, which is absolutely insane. The revenue is up 59%. JP Morgan Chase beat expectations by 8.3%, beating on EPS and revenue. Wells Fargo beat by 14.9%. It beat on EPS. It also beat on revenue by over $9 billion. Revenue grew 36% year over year. PNC beat on earnings by 11%, beat on EPS and revenue. BlackRock beat by 21%. EPS was a big beat. Revenue was a slight. Actually, they missed a tiny bit on revenue, but that's still fine. It was a big beat on EPS. And the company beat expectations by 21.6%. Once again, very good for them. The expectation is still quite strong for the company. Unity also beat. United Health beat on pretty much everything slightly. And the majority of these are just beats after beats after beats. So what's going on here? Are these businesses doing extremely well? The answer is they're doing all right on paper, but just know that what they did was they lowered these estimates so much that it seems like they had massive beats, even though these earnings overall were actually not that far from what we saw during the previous quarters. So they're making it seem as if they beat by some insane margins, when in reality these were just like pretty good earnings overall, I guess you could say that. And this is some degree of manipulation, in my opinion, which is helping to pump the markets. Now, I also want to mention that 30 minutes after the market opens, we have some data coming out. We have the 5-year inflationary expectations reports and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment reports, which should lead to more volatility. So just be prepared for this after the first 30 minutes. When it comes to SPY, looking at the options chain for today, we're starting to see the 430 strike. Not on the call side, it's on the put side, but for the call side, we're seeing the 438 strike seeing a big increase in open interest, and then we also are seeing high volume on the 437 strike. So because of this open interest increase, there's a chance that SPY could get close to 438. It's just a possibility. And on the put side, we're actually seeing a lot of open interest increases on the 430 strike. So that's because that's where max pain is. So the question is, will we keep pumping just to try to screw over these short positions, which is what these market makers could be trying as lots of shorts are piling in? Or is the market going to end up just like pumping and then eventually dumping back down to 430 for SPY? We'll have to wait and see. We will see what happens as the day goes on, but there are going to be some levels to watch for. Max pain is at 430 for SPY. It's also like at a little bit higher of a level for Tesla. There's some news that came out that Tesla brought the V4 chargers to the US, which is critical for the Cybertruck and non-Tesla EVs. Anyways, I'm going to very quickly go over these charts now. I think it's getting kind of late in my video. Uh, Finally, when it comes to Tesla, basically we have this flag that's forming on it, and this thing's making an attempt to bounce right now. So you're going to be watching this 260 resistance. If this breaks, watch this confluence of resistance right here at this 261 to 262 zone. If Tesla could break above 262.5, there is potential for it to push up to 265 again. If we reject off this resistance, very close to this 261.5 area, then Tesla could get a big rejection, come right back down towards these lower levels, such as 257 and potentially even 255. So watch this test right here. The zone is going to be very key when Tesla tries to bounce. Let's see if Tesla can break all the way up above 262, or if Tesla gets a rejection very close to that area. That is going to determine which way this thing ends up moving. So we're going to be watching this zone right here. This is going to be a very critical zone for Tesla. Let's see if Tesla breaks this or not. As of right now, it's pushing, so watch it try to push up higher because the banks have absolutely destroyed earnings, which were manipulated in my opinion. So we're going to be watching this very carefully. As for SPY, this is turning more bullish right now. We are trying to push up higher. Watch this 436 area as resistance, 436.5, 437, and then 438.5 is going to be the next level above that. For support, watch 435. If we break below that, watch 434, 433, 432.5. And if we get below that, there is going to be potential for us to drop all the way down to 430. So what is likely going to happen? The answer is we're going to continue pushing most likely, and we're going to see how high this could go. We could theoretically get very close to 438. That's what the option chain is suggesting, but there's no guarantee it's going to hold. There could be a rejection around there, so watch for a possible rejection, and watch for something else. I think this is going to be a very key level. So before we talk about 438, we want to be talking about 437 because we could be forming a head and shoulders on SPY for rejection. If we reject off this 437 area, this could be like a head and shoulders, and that could turn quite bearish. So once again, this could be like a left shoulder, this could be a head, and this could be the right shoulder. That's like the bearish case. If we break 437, then we have the potential to push up towards where the option chain is suggesting, and we could just like maintain this level just to screw over shorts. So watch and see if we could get up to 438, whether or not we reject. So this is going to be a very key level, and watch 437 to see if we form a right shoulder. So look for a pump in the morning and see if we get a rejection or not. The banks have done well on paper for earnings, so expect a pump, and we will see if it lasts or where we end up rejecting. For the QQQ, watch 370.5 is what we're testing right now. The next resistance level is going to be 371. We're going to be watching this level very carefully. Does the QQQ reject off 371? Because if it does reject like this, check this out. We could be forming a, hold on, give me 1 second. We could be forming a head and shoulders on the QQQ if we reject off 371 for the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. But if we end up breaking above 371, we could be pushing for 372.65, and then we'll have to see if that breaks or not. If we break that, then 375 is technically a possibility, and this thing could go even higher if we break this resistance right here. So watch 372, then 375 as resistance levels, and then watch 371 to see if we reject off that or not. Those are some very important resistance levels. If we reject off 371, a head and shoulders could be forming. If we break it, we could turn more bullish. If we do get a rejection, watch 370, 368, and 366 as support zones. Those are going to be very important as well. For Nvda, we're going to be watching this key level. We're currently at 470. If we break above this 472 area, we could see this thing push up for 475 plus, then 478. That's going to be lots of manipulation. If we reject, so we're going to push up when we open. If we reject off 472 and come back down, we have to break below this yellow trend line. See the yellow line right here? This is where we have to break. If we break below this, then we're going to be watching this come all the way down to potentially 465 and even lower levels like 460. Max pain is well below for Nvidia, so there's a possibility of a rejection because this pump could just be all manipulation. So there is going to be a bounce attempt. We will see if this lasts or not. So watch this resistance and see if we reject. That's going to be very key for Nvidia. So watch those levels very carefully. Last but not least, for Aapl, Aapl stock is starting to push. We're going to be watching this resistance right here. If we reject off 181.5, we could be forming a big rejection off this rising wedge, and this thing could come right back down to 180. If we reject off 181.5, it could come down to 180, and if that fails us, then 178 is coming. So watch this test very carefully. If Apple breaks above 181.5, we could see this thing push into the 182.5 area and just continue to try to hold up. So the bullish case is us breaking 181.5 and holding to push up to 182 to 182.5. The bearish case is going to be us rejecting off 181.5 and coming back down. We're going to be watching to see which one it is for Apple, but just know that these are the bullish and bearish cases. And as of right now, it's pumping. So there could be more upside coming in when we open, but just watch these resistance levels very carefully. All right, guys, so that's it for the video. Sorry, I'm kind of late recording this. A lot of things are going on. It is a Friday as well. I'll see you guys very soon for the next video of the day. And with that said, watch these levels very carefully. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. And I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you and peace out.